Alright, let's talk Conquest Characters. And forgive me if I don't look at the webcam enough. Just now getting used to that being set up. We're going to talk Conquest Character tier list, how you get them, which ones you should focus, especially depending on where you're at in the life cycle of the game. So the first thing we're going to talk about is how you get them. And with these rewards, we're going to talk about hard conquest, because realistically, you're not going to be able to get most of these characters until you've got hard conquest, and that's 4 million GP. That's the requirement to get into the hard difficulty. Once you hit 4 mil, regardless of what teams you have, you should be doing hard difficulty. Just go ahead and get that out of the way. Start off talking about max crate. So max crate, most, if you're small, you're not going to be able to get this, but you get 90 of what we are calling the current character, 30 of the secondary character. The next one, you're getting 50 of the current character, 25 of the secondary character. With red crate, sorry, I actually went one too far down. 90, 30, 65, 25. If you're getting this crate, which we're calling red crate, max crate, and you buy the shipments for the current character, you get them after 3 conquest. So after 3 conquest, you get yourself nice, shiny Lutheran Rail. And you can also supplement your secondary character some by getting that, but if you're getting max and you're buying that, you're getting that. However, most of you, if you're watching this, are probably not getting max crate. Your goal should be the 530 box right here. This gets you 65 of the current, 25 of the old. If you get this crate, you get 65 of this, you go buy from the shipments, which we'll talk about. You will get them before they leave rewards. So as you notice, there's only 2 characters here. The most recent 3rd character, no longer here. So you have to get them before they go out into Conquest Store, which they'll be until Proving Grounds, which we'll, again, touch on later. So you want to focus on getting to the 530 box. Even if you can at least get to the 450, that's a good, it's a good place to start. The farther you get, the better. And if you do spend, we're mostly focusing about free-to-play methods here, but if you do spend, the Conquest Pass is a good value, probably as long as you're at least getting to this 450 box, because you're only losing like 4 shards for the new and 3 for the new, 6 for the old, for the secondary. So it's not too bad. Let's talk about the merchants in Conquest. So in Sector 1, you've got merchants that sell you the 2 oldest characters still not in Proving Grounds. So that's in this Conquest volume, which we're about to go to a new one. Darth Bane, Darth Moff Gideon. We'll talk about who's good and who's not later. But 475 for 5 shards. And then Sector 2 through 5 are all the same. It's 5 of the current, 5 of the secondary, 5 of the secondary with crystals, and then the same 2 options as you had in Sector 1. And that's Sectors 2, 3, 4, and 5. All right, let's talk about Proving Grounds. So to get into Proving Grounds, which is an event that comes up at the end of Conquest, it'll be here in the events section. So we have 10 days, 19 hours till that event appears. You need to be 4 million galactic power. This number up here, but I'm sure everyone knows that. And you need Relic 3 tunes to use them in Proving Grounds. Most of them are easy. Some of them are very hard. There are lots of great Proving Grounds guides out there. I don't have any, but there are lots of great options. Bit Dynasty is great. I think Rabbit Beaver has some. Captain Amazing probably has some. Scribe probably has some. Arnold, I don't think has any, but there are. If you just look up whatever tier you're stuck on, guide, you'll find great resources there. You get 20 shards per attempt of this event. So, if we were to equate that to like the reward boxes, max crate gets a 30 QA. When she goes to Proving Grounds, one free run, Proving Grounds, 20 shards. You can refresh it for 2,000 crystals and get another 20 shards. That is really only going to be worth it if you're really rushing a character. And we'll talk about what characters are worth rushing and which aren't. And you can do that twice. So you can get a max of 60 shards. If you buy the Conquest Plus Pass, so that's the $35, which really wouldn't recommend personally, you actually get 1 more free run of Proving Grounds for each character you can do it for, and you get 2 more additional refreshes you can pay for. So that just that is an option. The next place you can get Conquest characters is Conquest Store. So these are going to be characters that Malicos is still in here, but he's in Proving Grounds now. But for the most part, it's going to be characters who are not yet in Proving Grounds. And we'll as we talk about each character, we'll talk about exactly where you can get them. So you'll know that when we get to each one of them. The next place is Guild Event Tokens 3. There are some that are available here. Again, we'll talk about which characters are and which aren't. There's the Legend Tokens Store, Go ahead and tell you now, this is not a great place to get them, but we'll talk about the situations you might want to use this. So basically, if you were at 108 shards of cat, and you did your proving grounds, that would put you at if you were at 308 shards of cat to get her unlocked, you need now 22 shards. You get 20 from proving grounds. You could spend 300 and finish her off and get her a month early rather than pay to refresh proving grounds. But you'll be able to do the math and see, oh, I'm 2 shards short, and then that might be something you can consider doing. And those are the places you can go. So just to recap: Conquest, Merchants, Proving Grounds, Conquest Pass, Conquest Store, Guild Event Tokens 3, and the Legend Token Store. One exception, and that is in the Fleet Store. I don't have them there for me today, but the Razor Crest can actually appear here. So you'll want that, you'll want to buy that if you see it, if you don't have it. This is the amazing place to get it, and we'll talk about where you can get those Razor Crest shards. So let's go talk about our Conquest tier list and where you can get these characters. In the S tier, we have Darth Bane. He is probably the best offensive character in the game. He's not good on defense. 0 defensive value. Amazing offensive value. And that's without Sith Eternal. That is just him. With Sith Eternal, you can beat every GL in the game. Just to be clear. There's some Datacron stuff that maybe he can't beat, but we'll cast Datacrons out of mind right now. Him with Sith Eternal beats everything in the game, and without Sith Eternal still beats almost everything in the game. He's got amazing Omicrons. They're GAC Omicrons as well. So Grand Arena Omicrons. And where can you get Bane right now? Right now, unfortunately, only the Conquest Store. We have another 4 months from me recording this video till we can get him in Proving Grounds. So the way this rotates, and I wanted to give an example to talk about and give you the timeline. So we get a year of a character, and then they go to Proving Grounds. So when Bane comes out 1 year after his release, he'll be in Proving Grounds. So currently the characters not in Proving Grounds are Luther Rail, who is our current Conquest character, Queen Amidala, who's our secondary rewards character, Bane and DTMG, who are tertiary and 4th tier reward characters, who are not in rewards, only the Merchants and only the Conquest Store. And they will shift to Proving Grounds one at a time every 3 months. So starting with the next Conquest, the end of the next Conquest is the last Luther Rail Conquest, DTMG will be in Proving Grounds. And after DTMG, Bane will be in Proving Grounds. So when Bane goes to Proving Grounds, if you don't have him, this is one I would certainly recommend refreshing. He's insane. I seriously can't recommend him enough. Next one in our S tier, Commander Ahsoka Tano. She's ubiquitous with this game. It's almost certain you've seen her. Most importantly, this is the thing that stops you from chasing Jedi Master Kenobi. Because Jedi Master Kenobi without Cat is okay at best. She elevates that team to be a Galactic Legend level team. She really does. She's also incredible under Padme. She's even able to do unique things under Rey and in a Scoundrel team. Incredible character. Where can you get Cat? I am happy to say she's much more accessible than Darth Bane. We can get her with Guild Event Token 3. She's not currently there. I'll tell you the price in a moment. Guild Event Tokens 3, Proving Grounds, and the Legend Token Store that we talked about. So the Guild Event Token Store cost is 1,750. Guild Event Tokens 3, 5 shards. Just so you know the cost there, because that isn't one that you've been shown yet. Next character, Maul. He is the lifter for the Lord Vader team. Lord Vader's probably not something that's super early on your radar, but even outside of Lord Vader, he's amazing with just the Mandalorian team. There's amazing, you can toss random Mandalorians together and build a good team, or you can even have like a full Dark Side Mandalorians team like Gar, ISC, Canderous, and have an amazing Dark Side Mandalorian team. He's not as good as Cat, but he's still an amazing character, and the best thing about Cat and Maul, no Omicrons, they are their best in every game mode, which is part of what makes them S tier. That investment is respected regardless of your mode. Let's go down to our A tier. Again, all amazing characters. Let me make a couple clarifications here, and I should have done this earlier. Grand Inquisitor, not a Conquest character. He's here for Scythe, the ship, which I'll show on screen when we get to him. Psychic Sister, also not a Conquest character. She's here for her ship, the TIE Interceptor. Same thing for Beskar Armor Mando. He's here for the ship, the Razor Crest. So our first A tier unit's Malgus. Amazing character, but outside of Grand Arena, he's not S tier. He's just good. In Grand Arena, S tier character. Great for taking down things like Reva, by taking things like Malicos. GL killing wise, he's not killing a ton. He can occasionally kill some GLs, but for the most part, he's going to be a defensive tool when you're early on in the game. Then as you get late in the game, he'll become an offensive tool, taking on things like I mentioned, Riva and Malygos. How can you get Malygos? Proving Grounds and the Legend tokens for, and that's it. So Proving Grounds is your source mainly for this guy. Next one up is Scythe. Scythe is an incredible ship, allowing the Chimera or Executrix to beat Galactic Legend fleets like Leviathan, Profundity, and Executor. Unfortunately, you do need Grand Inquisitor, a legendary character, to use it. That's why it lands in the A tier. If you didn't need Grand Inquisitor to get the ship, it would be S tier in my opinion because of how much it elevates in combination with our TIE Interceptor, the Empire fleet, to be able to beat those because there's not a lot of GL counter fleets that are as consistent as an Empire fleet. And you can get the Scythe from Proving Grounds and Legend Token stores. So same as Malygos, pretty much just Proving Grounds for you. Next up, we have the TIE Interceptor. This one actually even works at low gear. So this one is more accessible. Not as powerful as Scythe, but more accessible because all you need is the ship unlocked and in the fleet. And it'll activate Darth Vader's unique ability that reduces the cooldowns of your capital ship's call reinforcement ability, allowing you to get ships like Iden out super fast, taking the Empire fleet to an A tier fleet, and you could still beat Executor with this. Can't beat Leviathan and Profundity. Well, Profundity, there's some, we won't get into it, but easily beat Executor with a low gear second sister TIE Interceptor. So it's an amazing pickup. Proving Grounds and Legend tokens. I will note the Proving Grounds for this ship is easily the hardest, in my opinion, of all the Proving Grounds. It is an absolute pain. You will need to look up a guide for that. The team I ran for the longest time on my alt account was General Skywalker, Captain Rex, Fives, and when I say Captain Rex, I mean CT, the Clone Rex, Wat Tambor, and Jedi Master Kenobi. That's an expensive team. Most people just now hitting 4 mil GP don't have that. I've also seen like some Sith stuff, like Treya. Again, though, a lot of people just now hitting 4 mil GP don't have the Relic Sith trio, unfortunately. So this is a hard one. Look up guides as you approach that 4 million GP mark to decide how you want to tackle this conquest and that Proving Grounds to get the conquest unit. All right, next one we're going to talk about Malygos. Caveat here. He is mostly going to be good with your unaligned force users. If you don't have unaligned force users, don't worry about rushing him. He's an A tier character, mainly just in Grand Arena. Again, that's why he's not necessarily S tier. A tier character for your unaligned force users, but it's only going to be in Grand Arena with unaligned force users, which is a pretty niche team. I will say you could probably build a mid-tier, lower gear unaligned force user team with Seer Lead and maybe a Cal, and he would still do really good work, but he might not necessarily kill GL. So very strong team, but caveat, you do need unaligned force users there. Now Malygos is more recent. He's currently in Proving Grounds and the Conquest early assault, so you can actually get him quicker, but I would just focus on Proving Grounds unless you have like unaligned force user built up, in which case, yeah, maybe you should rush for Malygos. Next one, it's about super recent Queen Amidala. She is our secondary reward right now. She's an A tier because in order to be S tier, she really needs Padawan Obi-Wan and Master Qui-Gon. Those are good investments. I will say good investments, but those are investments you need to make. So I didn't want to put her S tier, even though with those characters, she is extremely good. And right now, relevant in the Naboo raid, but if you're just not thinking about farming her, the raid is not something you should worry about for this character because the raid will be gone before you get her up and running, more than likely. She's currently only in the secondary Conquest rewards, as you've seen in the boxes, and then she will be Conquest store as she heads that way. She might even be some Conquest store now. Well, yeah, I guess you've got the shipments, the scavengers like we talked about, but she's not in the store yet. So shipments, merchants, then will be shipment/store once she leaves those rewards. So you can get the shards from shipments, from merchants. We use way too many similar terminology in this game. Anyway, good character to get. Would recommend, but don't necessarily rush it if you're not putting Padawan Obi-Wan and Master Qui-Gon on your radar anytime soon. This is for Malygos' ship, the Fury class Interceptor. This ship, needed for Leviathan. It's just okay. Otherwise, really, it is not nearly as good as Scythe, TIE Interceptor. It's okay. That's kind of it. It unfortunately does not show up in the Legend token store for some reason, even though it should. So it's just Proving Grounds for this one. You need it for Leviathan. That's literally it. If you plan to farm Leviathan soon, make sure you're refreshing that. If you're not, just let it tick in, and you'll get it when you get it. It does make Sith ships usable under things like maybe Tarkin or Mace or even Chimera, but Chimera you lose your best Empire capital ship, so it's questionable. Don't sweat this one unless you're getting Leviathan. If you're getting Leviathan, refresh extra. If you're not anytime soon, don't worry about it. Let's go on to the next one. Got myself all scrambled. So I accidentally skipped over Darcher Moff Gideon, my bad. Darcher Moff Gideon, I do have him above the Fury Class Interceptor. Darcher Moff Gideon, he's good with Imperial Remnants. That's kind of it. If you don't have Imperial Remnants, don't worry about him. Kind of the same reason that we're now in our B tier here. So that's Fury Class and Darcher Moff Gideon in B tier. You don't have Imperial Remnants, you're not going to have use for him. And even then, he's kind of just okay. And all his Omicrons are TW. So if you don't care about TW that much, it's not something to really stress about. Same thing here, but already mentioned Fury Class, B tier, only near for the Leviathan. That's why you should farm it. Ben Solo, in my opinion, he maybe should be better than B tier, but he's only here because if you don't have Rey, he is completely useless. He has no tags except online Force user, so I guess you could probably put him in a Seer team, but none of his uniques work. You need Rey, you need Ben Solo's White Side and a version of Rey. These are okay abilities, does okay damage. He has GAC Omicrons, which is nice, but he's literally only useful with Rey, and he's not going in and wiping entire teams like Darth Bane, right? Like, he's there to make Rey slightly harder to kill. He does do some okay damage, but that's kind of it. He does shut down the Sith Eternal counter to Rey in Grand Arena with his Omicrons because of the, this one has the Loctelium. Yeah, Loctelium immunity, which is really nice. But that's it. Like, he's a niche gimmicky character that is good if you have Rey. If you have Rey, get him. If you don't, just let those shards tick in for Proving Grounds every month, and that's it. Next up, Razor Crest. The ship does not do anything to the Bounty Hunter fleet before you get Executor, because there's not a Bounty Hunter fleet before you get Executor, really. I mean, they're not any good without Executor. So that's why it's down here. Obviously, with Executor, the ship is vital. First off, you have to have it to unlock Executor, right? So I don't know. It's B tier, but you needed to get Executor. So if you're farming Executor, you should definitely push this one. And this one, luckily, so I did forget to mention this about, forgive me. DTMG is available in the Conquest store only right now. He's not Proving Grounds yet. He will be the next character to be Proving Grounds in a month. The Fury Class Interceptor, just Proving Grounds. I think I mentioned that one, but Ben is Proving Grounds and the Legends Token store. Razor Crest, this is the most accessible Conquest unit. Get 3, Proving Grounds, Fleet Store, and the Legend Token store. Like I say, it's not currently available in the Fleet Store, but you can get this ship before your 4 million GP, which realistically is better than all the other, better accessibility than all the other Conquest units. This is one every single time this pops up in your Fleet Store. And when I say Fleet Store, just to be clear, this store, every single time Razor Crest pops up in this store, buy it. I don't care if you're farming Executor today, if you don't think you're going to be doing it tomorrow, the week after, a month after. If you don't think it's going to be a year before you farm Executor, buy it when it pops up in this store. Because if you decide all of a sudden one day that you want it, you would be better off having it. Farm it. Farm it from that store if it pops up. It's rare. So anytime you see it, buy it. Boba Fett Side Django, we're in our C tier. He is not great. He can kill some GLs in Territory Wars. Just to be clear, he can kill some GLs. But let's dig into this one more. Let's look at the Bounty Hunter faction in this game. How many good Bounty Hunters do we have here? Obviously, we've got the Jabba team that takes most of these, right? We've got things like Mando and Grief and Fennec that are already killing Lord Vader. I don't need Boba Fett Side Django to kill Lord Vader. And by the time you field the Jabba team, a Lord Vader counter team, you barely have any Bounty Hunters left to go with Boba Fett Side Django. He can make him more consistent with his TW Omicrons, but why? It's just not worth the gear. It's not worth the farming there. Don't worry about him. let him tick in from, he's able to get 3 Proving Grounds and the Legend Token Store. Let him tick in from Proving Grounds, and that's it. Don't worry about him more than Proving Grounds. Next one's going to be Trench. This was the last character I had all the gear ready for day 1 for a Conquest character that I regret doing. Now, I get all the gear ready, and I wait to apply it until we've seen some testing. I thoroughly regret instantly gear Relic 5ing him and giving him some, I think I gave him 1 TW on me. Yeah, I gave him 1 TW on me and Relic 5'd him right away. Then saw testing, I was like, ooh, okay, not great. And we were also hopeful that Bane was going to then take Wat Tambor and give him back to Trench because he would be good with C, but now Bane's so good on his own, he doesn't even need Sith Eternal. So, unfortunately, Wat still winds up being homeless. With Wat, Trench can do some okay things. Even in GAC, he's actually able to clean up some GLs really well. Without Wat, he has great control on his team. But that's it. Are you really going to farm a Conquest character? Pay crystals to refresh a character to clean up a GL? No, you shouldn't. And that's why he's C tier. Coming up, we've got Lutheran Rail. We don't know. We aren't sure. It looks like he could be really good, but we just aren't positive yet. So we're not gonna say that he's S tier. We're not gonna say that he's B tier, C tier. If I had to guess, he's gonna land, somewhere mid A tier. That would be my guess. If you have any questions, let me know. If you have any comments to add, oh well, I also, let's say I missed where someone's available, please mention it. I did a pretty large amount of research. It was very difficult to find some of this information for some reason on like what's in the Conquest store, exactly when it leaves. Proving Grounds simple. It's a year after it gets released, it goes to Proving Grounds. That's an easy cadence. So is the actual reward box, but it's like, why are certain things in the Legend Token store, but Fury Glass is not, because Malicos, he's in the, I think, is he in it? No, he's not. Okay, so he should be now as well, but he's not. So it seemed like they were going to do Proving Grounds equals Legend Token Store, but they haven't. So we're not exactly sure what that is about. But either way, if you have questions about Zetas or Omicrons or anything like that, this video is too long for me to go into that. But if you have questions, ask me in the comments. I'll answer what I can. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.